Welcome back to the Intel Extreme Masters World Championships. We are halfway through the elimination match between Hong Kong Esports and M19, and Hong Kong Esports took the first game of the series. It was messy, it was down in the dirt, but they managed to pull out the win. And M19, they look downtrodden. They're quiet. They're kind of keeping it low. Whereas I can see over there with Hong Kong Esports, they're looking happy. They're looking talkative, and they seem to be in a better place.
Well, it's got to take a toll on their morale, considering the difficulties of the composition they put themselves in. It's really not easy to execute. And while the execution individually was not there, because you feel so restrained in what you can do, it makes it that much more frustrating, and it translates into the morale, and we see it on stage.
It's not lost in the fact of both teams, you know, 7th and 8th, they're playing off in this game for that final spot moving forward in this time, one team going home. So, you know, the fact that it was a tier difference, like Hong Kong Esports honestly looked a tier above M19, is a worrying sign, but there is that caveat you mentioned, Crumbs. The draft here was difficult to execute. Players were off their comfort. Move it to comfort, and maybe M19 can find an equal playing ground with their opponents here.
So you move it now to the draft phase. What are the comfort picks that we expect? And we just see Liquid go back to something like his Zyra, if he get his hands on it, you know, just puts, you know, Stehos on Graves, like we've been talking about it.
The comfort is not just necessarily a pick that they are comfortable playing. It's champions that are easy to execute, that have a slow skill cap. Tahm Kench, very easy to execute. You can legitimately just use W and you are already...
Hey, you need to actually press the button that lets you not target minions, though. Otherwise, that can be bad.
If you got fingers, you can do it.
We're into champion selection. We're into the draft phase now. Hong Kong Esports, they have the first ban here. Do you just say to Stehos, look, you struggled on Lee Sin, let's put you on the Graves, like you have had such good performances on it previously.
Jace, Bard are not easy to execute picks, even though Jace is pretty strong. You do need to hit shock blasts.
Well, that's just a skill shot.
I mean,
it's a pretty thick skill shot. Let's be real.
Okay, Brand gets banned out as well. LeBlanc, 100% ban ratio, I believe, in the first 3 rotations as well. So I think she's been, well, she hasn't seen the light of day yet. Rengar comes through for M19. Hong Kong Esports, they're waiting for their final ban.
You definitely put M19 on the back foot. You start banning away some of this comfort because it's just so natural. This is probably the last time we'll see M19. They'll want to play the comfort. They'll want to show the Anivia they flashed in the previous game, things like that. So sure, don't need to ban Anivia in the first round, but keep them honest, and quite a lot's left open. We might see another draft where Camille goes through picks and bans, unless one of these teams against type, because they aren't really big players of the Camille, lock it in this particular game.
I like the Jhin here as a first pick. It was previously banned by M19, and so they're taking it now with Varus being removed from the table. A nice little pick for getting picks. Similarly to the Ashe, it also offers that kind of surprise factor. When he goes into the mid lane, you can either open up with your Deadly Flourish, Curtain Call for some sort of execution, and it's all around just one of the best that he carries.
Where do you respond as M19? They've been really prioritizing this misfortune when the likes of, like you said, Ashe are open, and Vincent hasn't had huge success with it yet.
And look, EULCS also kind of brought back the MF AD carry, but it was in combination with Desire at the time. 2 highly prioritized supports put together as an AD carry support, and actually have innate synergy with Stranglethorns into the bullet time, but I'm not convinced with these Misfortune plus X AD carry support duos.
You can get convinced if they decide to build the composition around the specific pick. A pick that can devastate a team fight. If you build around it, you're great, right? You need a lot of AoE lockdowns. You see the Maokai, it was in the last game it was great, but the Lee Sin, man, I did not like that lead play from the last games at all, and it really, we're going to have to see a complete refresher for this one.
And maybe they think that there was some small mistakes they can adjust and take it down. We were very skeptical, as you can say, but yeah, surprising to see it, and you see the Tahm Kench again. Makes it kind of a lot of sense to just take it early, given how powerful it was in the previous game. Takes away pick comps, which, you know, getting down fighting, getting down dirty in the early game has helped M19 in the past. Could just be the blind Syndra as well. And
you're getting almost a complete, you know, reflective. They're picking exactly the same things. Hong Kong Esports, they've gone for the Tahm Kench Syndra again.
Jace is still up.
Hey, how about Bard? That was last game too.
Yeah, I mean, this is almost an identical draft phase from M19.
For a game that was so one-sided, it wasn't. I mean, you think back to the Rocks Tigers game yesterday against H2K, where they had that perfect level 1, and then things went awry, and you're like, okay, if that doesn't go right, maybe we'll win it. You could understand, okay, let's redraft it. And we've seen series where we've seen basically redrafts over the course of a best-of-5. But after that game, where it didn't really feel like there was a one tipping point. There were multiple, very surprising to you, opt into the same.
They must have felt that in their composition, they made mistakes that they can correct easily going into this game. They must have felt that it was close enough for them to say, if we do this thing right this time round, if we change this up, then we're going to have a better chance. And they're going to ban the Elise in second rotation again.
Which feelings can be wrong. So that's not really the...
I like the Anivia ban, though.
I like the Anivia ban, but Jace is still up, and so M19 might just pigeonhole themselves into the same idea of we can just go with Jace again, right? He did die in the mid lane solo, so that could be one of the mistakes that they feel kind of snowballed the game out of proportion, because losing control of mid lane does translate into the side lanes very quickly.
Could ban Jace here for Hong Kong Esports.
I think you just leave it, right? He
I'm
got a
particularly
solo
worried.
kill.
And it is left open again. So it has actually made it all the way through that first 3 pick phase. And M19 could choose to redraft it. But they're going to give Kira potentially another pick, and it's going to be the victor this time round.
Yeah, we'll have a wave clear advantage, but certainly as a tumultuous lane, Syndra does have a pretty happy time in terms of finding a kill target in the Victor will force Victor to go exhaust. So now if you get an advantage in mid lane, you can take Ghost yourself, you can roam, and there's no way for the Victor to follow. So mid lane problems can certainly spill into other lanes here from a Hong Kong Esports perspective.
At least they have that wave clear that you mentioned will allow the game to stall out if M19 were to fall behind, to a point where you could just say, you know what, we'll bank the game on a 5-on-5 team fight. And as we saw from that previous game, Hong Kong Esports not the cleanest in closing out the game.
I mean, yeah,
it came down to the team
they won a
so
team fight in
exactly.
a 10,000 gold disadvantage. So
not a bad thing to bank things on.
Looks like they're going to put their faith in that Gragas top lane again. Like you said, Papa Smithy, not too bad blind because it has decent matchups early on. It looks like they're going to go for that once more, leaving that top lane pick left for M19.
I mean, you can kind of understand. It's a surprise to most people because Gragas has been played and has actually lost a lot in LCK, for example, and has been a fringe pick elsewhere. But it does win basically every tank top lane matchup. So if you're like, okay, my jungler wants to play aggressive, I want to blind pick something that's going to auto-win but is also a tank and has some utility, you get the Gragas in some ways. But I don't think M19 are the team to prey upon a Gragas pick, but should be pretty comfortable here for Hong Kong Esports, and just the Poppy, so very much a tank top matchup.
So we've got a core that is very similar for both of these teams again. You're almost seeing a complete reflect, right, of these two sort of compositions, I suppose. What are they designed to do on either side?
Well, it's more team fighting on M19 this time. You know, it's not the Jays that haven't pigeonholed themselves. It's much more of a similar, simple comp to execute. It's not quite Maokai that was banned away, or the Anivia that would have been comfort. But M19 have a more comfortable draft, and I actually think they win 5v5 team fights pretty comfortably, although the situational factor is the misfortune, who seems to either really wreck a team fight or struggle to put out the damage.
So I'm going to push you for predictions, gents. I think you both went for Hong Kong Esports last time round. Where are you going this time?
Hong Kong Esports once again. Of course, I think they really had full control over that game at all instances, and they'll do so again, even though the compositions might be in the favor of M19.
Yeah, the composition's certainly cleaner from M19, but I share your skepticism of them actually being able to pick up a win at this stage. So Hong Kong Esports moving on to Spodek is my prediction.
So that's going to be a 2-0 for the analysts here at this best of 3. Hong Kong Esports moving on. We're going to pass it back to our casters to take us through potentially the final game of the series.
Thank you very much, guys. We are back on the cast desk. My name is Munchballs, and I'm joined once again by Frost Gurin. And heading into this game, analysis is not looking good for M19. It seems bleak, but Hong Kong, everyone seems to be siding with them right now.
You know, and I don't blame them. I do agree with the desk, though, that it's a much better, well-rounded draft, but ultimately kind of the same plan from M19. From game 1 to game 2 comes in, you know, PvP stay host. He's not known as a Lee Sin player. Went back to the Lee Sin, picking it away from Gemini, the only other guy who's played it this entire tournament. And so it's kind of like they have one read on their opponent, and this is kind of a question we had. You know, they don't get a lot of practice or refinement playing in best of series where you need to be adapting in the draft phase, because the only time they do it is internationally.
Yeah, and we are on to Summoner's Rift, and this potentially could be the final time that we see M19 here on the Rift at the Intel Extreme Masters here in Katowice. Hong Kong looking to keep themselves in with a chance of going to the Spodek. No, nothing. We weren't sure whether there was going to be something going on there, really, but
I was
19
just
back away.
really excited for him to about to pick up like 10 gold from the board.
The first CS of the game.
Almost got it. Canceled his auto attack.
M19 take an early advantage.
No, but that was kind of a cute little play. So deep early vision onto the Raptor camp. That said, both junglers should be aware that everyone is starting the top side of the map. Now, the current concerns that I have for PvP Stayhost are not only his like individual Lee Sin performance. There were certain peaks, you know, where you got the sick insect play on Gemini, you know, knocked him back into the team, but then of course died and traded his life. So this is cool. But otherwise, it really hasn't meant a lot for them. And if you look at his side lanes, he doesn't have a lot of CC to work with. You're relying on Licorice to hit a Cosmic Binding, you're relying on the Gravity Field from Victor, or you're relying from Wall Smash from Smurf. But this is an interesting start from both sides.
Now, Smurf looking to try and disrupt this blue buff start, but Gemini will be able to pick that up. But importantly, both junglers have been spotted out here, so they know where they're starting.
Yeah, so information goes across. That said, both junglers are still on opposite sides of the map, which means we now have these cool windows where either Gemini or PvP Stayhost can be confident and say, we can make a gank or play happen, and the other jungler won't be here to counter it, because theoretically they'll be on the opposite side of the map. Now, we'll keep tabs on them to see if that remains true as they continue their clear. I mean, sometimes junglers just have that gentleman's agreement. You want level 6? I want level 6. Let's just farm it out.
Yeah. Let's just wait this one out for a little while. Just go around and hunt some jungle creeps, and then see how we feel in a few minutes' time. Down in the bottom lane, once again, we're seeing this very aggressive play out of Hong Kong.
But this also bleeds out from the fact that M19 had to leash for PvP Stayhost. They didn't get the initial preparation on the wave, and so a Tahm Kench, which is a melee champion versus the double range of M19, actually lose out on level 2 and lose out on the wave control. And now Gemini is going to punish this further because his bottom lane is pushed forward and has the pressure advantage. You can see Kench actually peeking his head early up, getting more vision, trying to track where this Lee Sin is, but PvP Stayhost just kind of hides.
Yeah, we saw a really nice... Oh, gets the smite! Gemini! Just been given a run for his money right there. Got quite very low in the bottom lane. We saw a couple of trades going across there, and that's just the power of that misfortune. If you can land that double up consistently, the damage on the second bounce is ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's also really easy if you make sure that you apply Love Tap to them. So misfortune tips, make sure that you just hit them once with an auto attack, tap them with the Love Tap passive, and then the chances of the double up following up are much increased.
Go Nesty is going to be the target as we see the first fight of the game kicking off. We'll be able to get that consumed. Stayhouse is in trouble. First blood already picked up. Godquai grabbing that one as Gemini flashes forward. They aren't finished yet. They want more. They're not going to find it though as Licrit finds his way out.
Unfortunately, they tried to set up the gank and were surprised by Kha'Zix. So the 3v3, we said that there was a possibility that a window would be opened up where the junglers would be on other sides of the map. They decided to go toe-to-toe. PvP Stayhost thought he got the first laugh by Smite stealing the scuttle, but in the end, Gemini's the last one left laughing.
And already, fairly explosive start. Early first ganker. I mean, we just discussed sometimes you'll see these jugglers go for a very slow start. Unlikely here with Lee Sin and Kha'Zix, and already proving it in that trade in the bottom lane. Once again, Godquai just not able to go toe-to-toe with Vincent, though.
I mean, that said, in the short trades, obviously in the elongated trade, if that double tap doesn't work out, Jin's going to win out there with the 4th shot. The fact that Kench and Jin still have priority over this lane against 2 ranged champions, I mean, yes, it's misfortune, but she can kind of go back to her support roots and start spamming E on the wave. So hold on, because it doesn't look like PvP Stayhost is done. It didn't work out bottom, but it'll work here.
Well, Maple Snow is very low on mana. Obviously, all flashes available aside from Stayhost's. We'll see. Maple Snow has actually just used his body slam as well. Can he actually escape this one? Flashes, gets away from the Sonic Wave. But Stayos can't really follow. Stayos, he's only level 3 right now.
And he's about to run into gear. He's probably going to sit in this bush. No, he's going to try to track him to Krugs. Stayos is in trouble. He needs to just back.
Stayos.
Oh, they know.
Is caught between a rock and a hard place. Gemini's here as well. They're going to shove this minion wave in. All they need to do is deny these bases. Smurf actually might be the one that ends up being focused on as they go aggressive onto Snow. They're trying to force this fight out. They do get the first kill, but at what cost? Stayhost will go down as well. It's a double kill for Gear. He was dominant last game, and he's looking to repeat it.
And that's best case scenario. So good job. Props to M19 for realizing that they had, frankly, a pretty shit situation and tried to make the best of it. That said, late rotation from Kira. He's not there to help them out, and he's actually also going to get forced off of this wave. So he basically pushed in a wave and isn't going to get anything top. A lot of wasted time for Victor.
Yeah, a lot of wasted time, but Hong Kong, they are going to continue to shove that wave in. They are going to be able to... Oh, got quite actually in trouble. Nesty walks away with his AD carry, though. Once again, this is... I hate Kentron. It ruins all of the fun.
Feel the hate flow through you.
You're converting me.
Okay, so again, this is best case scenario for M19. They know that they're screwed. They know that they're about to get dove. Like, let's pick up the kill for it. But the problem is that Kira is just now starting to walk up. Just a really late rotation from Victor. And again, he really didn't get anything even when he rotated up there. He didn't grab the amassing wave. He was still under threat, under fire from this Syndra. So Kira in a really bad spot.
Yeah, and speaking of, he's already been chunked out in gear. He's level 6. He's got that unleashed power. If he can find an opportunity, Stejos is kind of behind him in this jungle, though, waiting for an opportunity. But the thing is, if Gear actually goes for that play, Kira's dead in a second flat. There's not a lot that Stejos can do about it.
Yeah, but that said, Victor will always have the option that he can just sit back and wave clear. So kind of the other answer to Syndra, you know, he doesn't have the itemization answer to the likes of the Jace and the Corki do with the Hex Drinker, but he can just be like, it's fine. You can have control of the lane. I'm just here for the minions. You're not actually laning against me, you're just laning against creeps. But ultimately, that means that Gear has so much flexibility because he can go wherever he wants. As soon as he cleans up this gold, there's nothing to stop him from wandering topside, wandering bot side, and continuing to spill and impact this map.
Yeah, and especially if he can double up with Gemini, become that kind of roaming death squad, especially with Syndra Kha'Zix. Like, the sheer burst damage out of those two is just terrifying, and if they can move that focus either to top or bottom lane, the amount of map control that they can gain off of that, because let's remember, there aren't any towers gone down yet, so I would expect to be the goal for these players right now.
This is mean. So we talked about, you know, Gear can roam anywhere. Right now he's actually just trying to set up a trap, sitting in a bush and waiting for, you know, Kira or PvP Stejos to face check. And speaking of face check...
Yeah, speaking of Stejos, does one jump away, but there's no chance for him on this one. Smurf will knock away Snow, though, keeps his jungler alive. Stejos has not been having a fun time with it this game. Already 0-2, and then just being bullied by Maple.
Literally just getting ping-ponged around the map as any indication of the last skirmish. Hong Kong Esports know that the jungler is top lane, which is why they're fine to pull the trigger on the Ocean Dragon right now. Now, this is a really early Ocean. I've talked to Mithy pretty extensively about this, and I feel the same way. I feel like early game, pre-15 minutes, Ocean is the best dragon you can have. The reason being is that Infernal takes time to stack. You need the itemization, so it's not going to be really relevant until late game, or at least on your initial power spikes. Mountain is only useful when you're sieging towers. This early in the game, you're not sieging the towers. This is all about making these roam plays, and when you have such bloodthirsty skirmishes, the Ocean actually matters here.
It's yet another objective for Hong Kong. As you say, they get that one because of the pressure that was laid onto PvP Stejos because of Maple Snow. We've talked in depth about this Gragas pick, how good it is in the early game, and Maple Snow using that to full effect there.
My favorite thing is, although hold on.
Stejos looking for an opportunity, gets onto Gemini, look at the burst, but the Devour once again from Nesty. Can they finish off the kill? Gemini walking away. They're not going to be able to land that ultimate. Nesty, he's got the grey health, but he's pretty low. Run out of shield, and that is going to be the kill. Unleash power on Stejos, but doesn't get the kill because of the exhaust. Curtain Call also can't finish anything off. And it's a pick-off for M19. They finally win out a trade. This is good news.
Yep, ultimately the overextension from Hong Kong Esports, they overreach, the Bear Claw comes down, or excuse me, the Bear Trap comes down right on their hand. And this is just great communication and patience, particularly set up from PvP Stejos, you know, knocking him back into Kira's waiting ult. The Tahm Kench, as frustrating as he is, the damage has been done. Liquid forcing them to kite back forward or E to the Bard ultimately picks up the kill.
Well, Kira might be the next one to go down here. Takes a huge amount of damage. They back away, though, and survive. Liquid on the front line gets his Thunderlords for a bit of damage. But Hong Kong have to back away.
For as much as Maple Snow is playing that Gragas top lane, his ultimates have been fairly hit or miss, quite literally.
Yeah.
And, you know, we kept making the statement, oh, you know, it's good into the Maokai, it's about the Camille, you can see how the ultimate interacts. He's literally just picking this into anything.
And also, he's barely into those matchups, right? He's consistently roaming. We saw him going on Stejos, we've seen him go down to mid lane. We're rarely seeing that ultimate actually used in specific matchups, we're just seeing it used for the general team betterment.
Just ate him for no reason.
I mean, slight movement speed buff, so there's that. But once again, we kind of reset the pace of the game here. Both teams slowing down just a little bit. Hong Kong, obviously, with the advantage, they've got that Ocean Drake and they've got 1,000 gold. However, they don't have a victory just yet, and they don't have any towers. Maple Snow trying to escape. Smurf can't chase him down, though.
Yep, forced the flash out. Knew that Maple Snow didn't have his ultimate to disengage, so I like the fact that Smurf decided to go hard in the paint there. Unfortunately for him, Maple Snow, of course, has that lower cooldown on his belly bop. Knew that he was just going to walk away. I was like, you know what? CS is probably worth more than that guy.
The crit. Just trying to clear away some vision here, trying to get some semblance of control around the bottom side of the map. Gemini once again hovering around this mid lane. They want to shut down Kira. That is the goal right now.
But this is technically a 3v2 unless they grab Kira.
Kira's in trouble right now. Chaos Storm comes down, but you can't win that 1v2 right now. Steos coming on in as well as Smurf. Maybe they can pull some semblance of a win off of the back of this. In comes Nesty as well. This is suddenly turned in favor of Hong Kong, and now they're going to chase down Steos.
But now they can just immediately turn onto the tower. They have the inner track here. Unfortunately, it's just Smurf there. So great rotation from Hong Kong Esports. Nets them a very important first break.
Steos in a 1v1 against Gemini. And well, I say 1v1. That's a bit of a loose term when you've got someone who could just flash over.
But they're now buying enough time for M19 to try to get in position for this tower. Ultimately, Hong Kong Esports might have traded the objective for the kill. He misses it again.
Yeah, and they are going to be able to get away with it. So nice play from M19, actually keeping themselves in this one. It is a 2,000 gold lead, though. Especially early on in the game, kills can amount to a similar level as an objective.
They actually expended so much for that. You know, the fact that Syndra's flashing over the wall, that means that now she's only really reliant on her ghost. That means that she's easier to gank. They don't break the tower. It's incredibly important and very difficult to break mid lane tower, especially from a Victor. I feel like Hong Kong Esports, you know, maybe wasted their window a bit.
I've got to say, Smurf's doing a very good job in this top lane when it comes to the trades between him and Maple Snow. We've been talking about how Gragas is good in the early portion of the game when this is the early portion of the game, and so far he's being out-traded pretty consistently.
And again, let's be frank, you know, Maple Snow's logic makes sense to a point. Gragas did see some buffs on 7.2, particularly to his passive. Makes it a bit easier for him to sit up and sustain in a lane. So you're like, okay, against the Shin, I can understand, you know, how your belly bop's working with his taunt, you're winning out on the trades, you have the push priority, that's cool. Camille, you can knock her out of ult. Maokai, blow her away from the team fight. But it's like, he'll pick it into the Poppy this time around. Had last pick priority, and it's kind of punishing him right now.
Yeah, I think definitely just sitting in his comfort zone at this point, which is, you know, in this series, I don't want to criticize it too much because they're already 1-0 up. If you're comfortable on it, you feel like you can do a good job, you know, go for it. But if they do move further forward into this tournament against some of the higher tier teams, that's not going to be good enough.
Ultimately, on the flip side, because that's a cool point that you bring up, it means that Hong Kong Esports kind of in this, what is it, Decider match or this Decider series aren't revealing anything. Hold on. He's okay.
Gear dodging away from Liquid. Unleash
okay.
power. Gets exhausted though. Doesn't quite get the kill. Nesty is there, so we'll pull him away. And now Steros is the one to be locked down. Bullet time coming through. Or should I call it curtain call? That is its name. Gets the kill in the end. Vincent chasing for this one. That's the bullet time finally. God Kwai walks away. It's just a single kill for Hong Kong.
Ultimately, still gold back in the pocket, so feeling comfortable. M19 do then get priority over the Ocean Drake, but not if Gemini has anything to say about it. He's in the side looking for the steal.
Gemini wants to go in onto this one. Licrit will be devoured here, and Gear manages to finish that one off. It's another kill, and they get the Drake on top of it. Everything's falling apart for M19. There's a route onto Vincent. They want more. They're not going to go for it. Daren't go into that Victor when he's got so much zone control, but I mean, even though they've not been able to get towers too much just yet, Maple Snow is now going to be continuing to shove out in this mid lane, and they're just stacking up gold.
Double Ocean as well, pre-15 minutes, is going to be pretty pivotal. The thing about Ocean is that so many compositions are running kind of these poke compositions or these siege comps. It's naturally going to empower that. That said, I still agree that an Infernal on a siege comp is quite devastating. He's okay. walk it off.
Vincent going to get a bit of a graze on his knee there.
It's about to be a lot more, though, when Gemini gets involved.
Gemini wants this one.
Rip.
It's not like, he just goes for
Oh,
Liquid
Vincent,
Burst.
you're
He's like,
next.
oh, you want to protect your AD carry? I don't think so, buddy. And now Vincent, there's nowhere to go. Double kill for Gemini as he just sweeps them up easily. Isolated targets, easy pickings.
And it's going to be the next objective. So the easy part has been done from Hong Kong Esports. We'll see if they continue to remain kind of clean, methodical, and consistent when identifying the correct inner tower to work for. Because this is where a lot of teams kind of fall apart. You know, the outer towers are there, you go into lane phase, it's kind of like coloring in the lines, painting by numbers, it's quite easy. When the map opens up, things get a bit more abstract. You can start to see the difference between the good and the great teams about deciding exactly where they need to be on the map.
Smurf being chased down right now by Maple Snow. He's going to use the ultimate, looking for the 1v1.
He hit it.
Yeah, I mean, he did hit it. He did hit it against Steos as well earlier, so I don't want to be too harsh to the guy, but Smurf actually might just be about to go down. Gets the 1v1, even with Licrit there, trying to protect his top laner. Smurf straight up outplayed.
To be fair, Maple Snow has showed a lot of really cool plays. Like going back and watching the VoDs, his Gragas is quite impressive. Well, hold on a second for this replay. Again, it looked like Gear was in trouble, but luckily Licorice was unable to follow up on any CC. Just nice fancy footwork dodging the ultimate, making sure that he denies the possibility of Cosmic Binding with sidesteps. And then realistically, the rest of his team shows up.
Look at that.
Yeah, bend it like Beckham over here.
But yeah, you're right. And I've got to say, looking at these fights, looking at the replays, every single fight, Nesty on the Tahm Kench saves someone, at least one person per fight. And you've got to say, looking at the draft, we've mentioned how M19 specialized in best of one, not in these series. Do you think it was maybe just worth banning away the Kench? Just remove that factor since they're so kill hungry.
You 100% know how I feel about Tahm Kench and his placement in the meta. That said, it could simply just be that Liquid feels comfortable in the matchup on Bard.
Wow, Kira just about survives, gets the Siphon Power. Gear can't finish off. He's gone under the tower himself. Gets kicked on back. Sonic Wave does finish it. Kira survives. Somehow holding on to his life. The exhaust onto Gear was absolutely pivotal.
The fact that there's still fight in M19 is incredibly comfortable to see as another ult is being nailed. And again, back to Maple Snow. He has showed in VoDs his competency on this Gragas top lane. It cannot be looked upon lightly. So while we are poking some fun at it, ultimately it's a very strong pickup for him that he feels very confident on. And the cool thing is again, they're not revealing anything in this series. So if they go through, teams can't extrapolate a lot of data from these games.
Oh, Gemini, they knew where you were, buddy. Smurf blocks him against the wall. He just gets the kill and gets the reset, though. The blast cone's there as well, but he doesn't even need it. Stayhost has to try and escape. Maple Snow on the backline, flashing away to safety. Vincent gets a bullet time, but Nesty denies it once again. Chaos Storm's not enough. And it's just another kill for Hong Kong. They are running away with it.
I just want a stat of how, like, what would the gold difference be if Tahm Kench hadn't denied, you know, like 300
how many
gold
kills has he denied?
after 300 gold?
Yeah, Nesty has been formidable in this series, and like his namesake, putting his opponents on ice here.
That was good.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, fam.
That English sense of humor coming through. So I was the dumb American. I was like, ha, Lipton.
Yeah. Got that iced tea. We don't even have iced tea in England. I actually really don't like iced tea. Why would you want to put ice in tea? Tea's great as it is. It doesn't need any. It doesn't need sugar. I mean, I'm pretty anti-sugar in tea anyway.
The Southern United States.
As you can tell, as an Englishman,
heavily
I have strong opinions on how tea should be done.
in like the most reserved, calm voice.
Yeah, Hong Kong well and truly ahead in this one. 8,000 is the gold lead, 11-3 in kills, yet to lose a single tower. And M19, we've said, they've got this attitude of never say die. They will not give up. But I don't think Hong Kong are going to let up either.
They're prepping now for this tower in the bottom. So again, you know, M19, if this is where they want to take their stand, they will lose the top tower because meanwhile, Maple Snow is also prepping that secondary pressure point. M19 getting ripped around the map right now.
Gear gets locked up. There's the stun to follow it. Can they finish off Gear? Yes, they can. Exhausts don't come into play this time. But Steos has gone too far forward all on his own, looking for Gemini, but kicks him to his team. Sonic Wave doesn't land. And in the meantime, you've got a Gragas just taking away towers for free. M19, you've got to capitalize. Something has to happen. But I don't think they can catch these players. Magical Journey, they're looking for Godquai. Smurf going to be the first one in. Edge of Night will block some of the damage. It'll block the CC, but can they finish these targets? Nesty, so tanky on that Tahm Kench. Chaos Storm comes down. They're desperate for something, but Maple Snow still pushing away.
And you used the key word right there, though. Hold on.
Yeah, there's ultimate. Maple Snow actually wants to dive on this one as M19. They're actually being chased back. They know that Maple Snow can win that 1v1. They know he can just keep pushing. They just have to deny recalls. Curtain Call comes out. Smurf gonna block a couple of shots, but Kira on the front line. Look at the damage onto Smurf as well. He ain't that tanky this early in the game. They finally are gonna start to get some recalls, but it's half of the inhibitor tower damage.
Now, looks like a disaster. The keyword there was desperate. We'll talk about it in a second. This is going to be a really long replay. I can't believe we're starting all the way back here. So ultimately, Gear gets picked off. This is okay.
Okay, we've got some action. Steos is down. Gemini finds one with the help of Maple Snow. There's no time for replays in this game because it is nothing but kills. Licrit, he has to flash, but I don't think there's a way out here. But then again, I've been wrong before. Maple Snow gonna chase this one through, finishes him off, bashes him with the barrel. Smurf, though, he wants to capitalize, gets Maple Snow underneath the tower. Maybe they can get this one. Maple Snow has the ultimate.
Yep, about to get his ult, can disengage from it. And again, meanwhile, M19 just constantly being ripped around to these different pressure points, picking up maybe 1 or 2 kills, but losing the rest of their map.
Yeah. And now Godquai down in the bottom lane. While something happens in the top lane, they lose objectives in the bottom. When this fight's in the bottom lane, it's Maple Snow shoving away in the top. It feels like M19, while they have this attitude of never say die, they don't seem to have the gumption to follow through.
I do agree, and that's definitely the case or what it looks like on their map. That said, look at Licrit right now. He's still incredibly vocal. We talked about, how Flash Wolves, they're an incredibly loud team. People attending the arena, we'll get to see Flash Wolves earlier. I'm sure you'll be able to hear them over the crowd war, or over the roar of the crowd. A lot of teams we've kind of seen have been much more kind of silent or reserved. M19 are not like that. They're also a very loud, very talkative team. They'll never give up. They'll never stop talking or feeding that information through, and never stop looking for plays.
Yeah, and I've got to say, you mentioned how vocal some of these teams are. Even just watching the games here at the studio, there's an ever so slight delay if you're sat at this stage. You hear Flash Wolves start to shout call-outs and things. You're like, okay, there's a fight coming in the next few seconds. We know what's going down here. But Cloud Drake will be the third of the game. Hong Kong going to comfortably secure this one for themselves. And it's just another objective to put in the bank. 7,000. Oh, sorry, no. I'm not very good at maths apparently either. It's 9,000. No, it's not.
It's a lot.
13,000.
It's a lot.
Dear me. Maths, not a strong suit here. This is why Hearthstone casters don't count. Apparently, League casters are just as bad.
I try to avoid counting at all costs unless I've done the math ahead of time.
Well,
Hold on.
Steos and Licrit, they don't want to let this Baron go for free. Straight onto Nesty. He can't devour himself, that's for sure, but Stayhos so low already. Licrit will be finished off by Gemini. Vincent trying to block for his jungler, but that's not the guy you want on it. Gemini with the double kill once more as well. Gets shut down by Vincent in the end, but Gear isn't finished. He wants them as well. Maple Snow comes into the backline, can't quite land the barrel. It costs Vincent both summoners just to survive.
Gemini overreaching a little bit right there. He was denied the isolation damage, so good job from M19 to kind of bundle up and make sure he can't get the immediate reset and start bouncing around. So yes, they lose the team fight, but they could have lost a lot more there.
Yeah, keeping themselves in this one. No inhibitors have been lost. I can't give enough stress on how important that is.
And the cool thing is, or the key thing I should say, is that both junglers died. And so ultimately Hong Kong Esports, again, they win a big team fight. They've got complete control of the map. But because their jungler's dead, they don't just want to take a 50-50 Baron without a smite. So it's continuing to stall out this game. And that's pretty much the only win condition for M19 at this point. Crumb said it at the desk. They have great wave clear. If the game can go to a single 50-50 coin flip team fight, that's a great place for this comp. You just gotta get there.
Yeah, I was about to say, the real question is, can they actually get to that point in the game? 15-5, phenomenally huge gold lead at 26 minutes only. I mean, we're not even getting close to like Elder Dragon status, and there's a 13,000 gold lead. That is obscene. M19, they are waiting for Hong Kong to look towards this Baron. And unfortunately, there is that control ward, so they can't do any of their kind of sneaky Baron shenanigans this time.
Would be the one thing to kind of get their foot back in this, though, is that if M19 were able to secure a Baron, again, it just stalls out that 4 minutes. You get closer to that tick over time where, yes, the gold disparity is massive now, but eventually it won't matter. It's simply that race to those completed items, or more importantly, really to those core items.
It's not been a fun game so far for M19. Fight might be underway. Licorice gets 2 with the Tempered Fate. That's better than he's been doing so far this game. Bullet time onto a few. In the meantime, Gear got 1. It's traded straight back, but Gear gets the double now. Triple make that. Gear is going off in this fight, looking for the Quadra. Stejos trying to just survive on this one, but Smurf will be the next one to go down as Godquai finishes off the jungler. Smurf will drop. It is going to be the Quadra kill, but I think it doesn't count because he died. Denied, my friend, but Gear, they do get the ace. And they are going to push forward.
No one ever expects the backline Syndra flank there. Gear coming out massive. He was massive game number 1 on the Syndra. Same story this time around. And ultimately, this will break the inhibitor line, which opens up the possibility of Baron even wider for Hong Kong Esports. Licorice, where you going, friend?
Licorice, I mean, he's looking to make plays, but I'm not sure there's one that he can make on this one. The inhibitor will drop in the end. Godquai, he's got that crit poised and ready. He's not going to find a target for it, though. It's Hong Kong, they've taken the inhibitor. They're happy to back away with that.
Now it's about how they utilize this pressure point, set up their triangle vision in this red jungle, and make a clean play for this Baron, or even just continue to lure M19 to the prospective Baron while they win and take other objectives elsewhere on the map that they've been so good at doing throughout this series.
Now trying to steal away a red buff as well. Stejos will be around. He'll look for the smite on this one. Does manage to get it, but at what cost? Maple Snow doesn't want to give it free, but he doesn't have a choice in the end.
That's where he draws the line, the Scuttle Crab and the red buff.
Yeah, Maple's not.
Hello?
Licorice, why are you there, man? He will get a stun onto 1, but there's no way he survives. 1v1 between the mid laners. Kira does go down, so does Licorice. M19, I mean, we've kept on going on about this attitude of never say die, but what are you doing at the top lane, man?
And the issue is that he's not placing vision. Like, yes, it's being cleared out by Hong Kong Esports, but the reason why Kira's so far forward and why it's in such a dangerous position is that he can't see the Syndra walking on top of him.
Now it's time for Baron. Bullet time comes on through. Stejos tries to go in. Doesn't get the smite. Godquai managed to get it anyway. Current call now. Vincent trying to escape, gets out of range. Smurf walks away. How do you... Everything is going wrong for M19, and Hong Kong are over the moon about it.
That is so... that feels bad, man. They knocked Kha'Zix out of the pit. The bullet time brought Baron down so low, and they missed the smite on the steal.
Brutal.
That stings.
And I mean, it was a crit from Godquai, I believe. So, you know, the Jhin damage is pretty much equivalent to a smite at this stage in the game. But you're absolutely right. It's just a painful situation to watch at this stage. And now Maple Snow looking to be the executioner as he begins the siege onto this top lane tower. He started it a long time ago in this game, and now they're looking to finish off this objective.
They're just going to overwhelm this tower. We talk about, you know, where do you draw the line? PvP, Stejos drew it over Scuttle Crab and Red Buff, but will he draw it over his Nexus?
That is the top inhib dropped. Bottom one, they don't care about. They just want to end the game right now. Already looking for these towers. M19. You've got to live up to your name here and force this fight. Try and stay in this game. It's going to be an open Nexus in just a second. Nice ultimate from Smurf. They're looking for gear. Bullet time's denied by Nesty once again. Tempered Fate only onto Godquai. Maple Snow walking on forwards. Can they finish the kills? Yes, they can. That's gone Licorice. Now Kira just on the front line will get finished off as well. Gear He's being chased down by Smurf, but there's nothing Smurf can do about it. Everyone bullied onto the fountain. Curtain Call will keep them there. And this is going to be a 2-0 victory for Hong Kong Esports.
Which means that they get to continue forward at IEM World Championship. So must feel good there, although they're actually quite cool, calm, and collected in their victory.
Well aware that there is still a large portion of their journey to go. And in the meantime, M19, regrettably, this is the end of theirs. The journey is over, and unfortunately, they are the first team to be knocked out of the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship.
I mean, not to beat around the bush, frankly, this is what a lot of analysts and a lot of fans expected when they came into this tournament. Unfortunately, they were looking up at some serious giants to contend with, you know, top 3 teams from Europe. Invited to the competition. You got 2 Korean teams. EDG were originally slated to be here, so no surprise to see M19 drop down, but it's nice that they kind of left their mark and their impression on the tournament. Even though they exit early, it's still, you know, we got to see some of the flashy plays. We got to see the never say never. We got to see the Liquid Bard. That's always exciting.
Yeah, and I mean, winning at 2v2s in the bottom lane, things like this, and even just the fact that they come in to an international tournament and demand respect bans on the bat, like, that is enough in itself to be an accolade. So, regrettably, they are out of the tournament. We can't sugarcoat it too much. They are gone now. But it's all about Hong Kong Esports. They move forward. They survive.
Yeah, and it's we talk about, you know, the fact that they want to kind of outrun this legacy. They don't want to be Taipei Assassins 2.0. They want to make their name, make their stamp. Some of these players or these young rookies on the team have only been playing competitively for like 2 months. So this is kind of the start of making their mark on the international tournament. And short notice, but it's nice to see them succeed and to continue forward.
Yeah, and to start to build up that reputation. We're going to go into a quick break, but we'll have an interview with the winners following it, so don't go anywhere.